Hello everybody and welcome to part 2 of my lesson on the AQA GCSE English Language Exam Paper 1 question 4. Part 1, I whizzed you through the assessment objective for this question and I gave you the lowdown on what this question was assessing you on and what time you were given for the question, how many paragraphs you needed to do, and we briefly looked at this paragraph flowchart, which you can get as a free download on my website, acuaexams.wordpress.com. So what I wanted to do was have a look at this extract from The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells, and just wanted to show you how we popped that paragraph flowchart into action, really, how you can use it in practice. So you can get this extract on my website, like I've said, and the question that we're just going to have a quick look at is, how is the horror of the creature's appearance brought to life? Okay, so in the exam, you'd likely get a statement given by a student that would say, a student has read this extract and they said that the horror of the creature's appearance is brought to life by the description. To what extent do you agree with this statement? Okay, and then it's up to you to read through that extract and consider whether you agree. Is the horror of the creature's appearance brought to life by the description or isn't it? Okay, so you've got to find examples that support and contradict the statement that you are given. So if you've had a look through this extract, then there are lots that you could mention that we could use in our answer. So for example, we have got things that say 2 large dark coloured eyes, one might say a face, overcome with disgust and dread, or I could not avert my face from these things, okay? So the fact that we've got things that say that, you know, the character, is filled with disgust and dread. We've got a description of the creature's eyes, the fact that it's not really a face, the fact that the character can't look away because the face is so overwhelming, the view of it. All of those things support the statement that the horror of the creature's appearance is brought to life. We've got repetition of the word peculiar, which obviously supports the statement that he is horrific, he or she or this creature is horrific in its appearance. The fact we've got the absence, which is also repeated, absence of brow ridges, absence of a chin. So the absence of human features. So again, we've got a horrific description of this creature. The fact that it's actually called a creature supports the statement that it is horrific, it's not a human thing, okay? And we've also got words like monstrous, monster, inhuman, and things, okay? All of these words support that statement that this creature is horrific in appearance, okay? So we've got lots of things that support that statement. We would also want to try and find something that contradicted the statement. If we could find one thing, then we could show the examiner that we've been really critical in our evaluation of the extract that we've been given. So if you can find something within here that doesn't support the statement that the creature is horrific in appearance, then that's really, really good, really critical, really good evaluation. So I would definitely then write a paragraph on that in my answer too. So if we were using our paragraph flowchart, which I've already given you, then one of the paragraphs would look like this. So we would start our answer with a general statement which answers the question. Now here I've just said I agree because all of those points that I pulled out actually did completely support the statement. But like I said, if you can say I agree to an extent and then put in a paragraph that contradicts too, then that shows greater critical evaluation. But here I've said I agree with the statement that the horror of the creature's appearance is brought to life by the writer's description. So I've used the statement to form part of my first sentence. And then what I've done here is instead of doing a point and then a quote, I've actually showed a greater level of sophistication by embedding my quote in the point bit, okay? So I've said, firstly, the character describes feeling a sense of disgust and dread after looking at the creature for the first time, okay? So we've got disgust and dread, and we could even say that the writer uses alliteration, okay, to describe the feeling of disgust and dread. So you could even go even further and consider your language technique there as well. So if we were thinking about our dissection, here we've said the alliterative phrase. So we've actually made it clear to the examiner that we know that it's alliterative as well. So the alliterative phrase emphasises the extent of horror the character feels at beholding such a sight. So we've said that the words disgust and dread show the extent of the horror. It is clear that the Martian, and then obviously we've got another little quote there because we know that that word is taken from the extract itself. It is clear that the Martian is horrific in its appearance, but it's also likely that its inhuman qualities have produced a feeling of desperation in the character too. The noun dread connotes apprehension, thus reinforcing the idea that the creature is hostile. So we've actually considered what the word dread, the noun dread, means. So we've defined it, and then we've implied how what that means and how it would make the reader feel, okay? So the character feels beholding such a sight, okay? It reinforces the idea that the creature is hostile, okay? Actually, if we were to make that even better, we would want to explicitly say how it would make the reader feel, okay? So the reader would feel that the Martian was extremely horrific in its appearance. Perhaps we would feel nervous and anxious. We would be filled with apprehension at what was to come, okay? So this is where the link comes in. Wells gives the reader a detailed account of the intricacies of the creature and the emotions evoked within the character. So that's kind of a little bit of effect on the reader as well. It is evident that the creature has cruel intentions and a horrific appearance. The reader understands the true horror that the character senses. Now, that last sentence there is not only effect on the reader, but if you look at it, it says the reader understands the true horror, okay? So we're actually linking this back to the question that the description is horrific, that it's clear that the creature's description, that the creature's looks are horrific. So we're actually using the words from the quote that we were given at the start, okay, the statement, to link it back to that question. So we're always considering what is the question, and in this case it was, is the description brought to life, the horrific the description. So we've used the word horror in our link. So I think it's time for you to have a practice yourself. So there is an extract from The Sign of Four, which is a Sherlock Holmes novel, on my website, asiaexams.wordpress.com. And what you need to do is have a read through that. Hopefully you've already read through it because you've already done questions 2 and 3 on my channel. And if you've already read through it, great stuff. But if not, just have a read through it and look at lines 1 to 39 and then consider this statement. A student, having read this section of the text, said, "The writer has created characters who are all fearful of something. To what extent do you agree?" Okay, so you need to consider your impressions of the characters. You need to evaluate how the writer has created these impressions and support your opinions with references from the text. So effectively, you just need to say whether you agree with it. You need to think about whether the writer has used language features, specific words or structural features in order to make you feel that way. And then you need to include quotes in your answers. So it's worth 20 marks. You've got 25 minutes to do it. And I would aim for 5 paragraphs for this question. So that's the extract that you need to get from my website. Okay. Have a read through it, have a go, and in part 3 I'm going to give you a little bit of help if you're struggling on things that you could write that support that statement and things that contradict that statement, and I'm also going to give you a top level sample answer.